Buckle up, everybody. I think one of the more beloved Panthers, but also one of the more polarizing athletes of the last, 20 years, said something that is going to elicit some questions. So Cam Newton, 2015 NFL MVP, holder of a whole bunch of records, both Carolina Panthers and NFL, was asked on ESPN if he would trade his NFL MVP for a Super Bowl. His response was no. And that right there is going to elicit a whole bunch of that's what's wrong with everything. Yeah, winning comes first, individual. Let's give Cam the opportunity to explain himself, as he did. We have a clip here of Cam Newton on why he would not give back his MVP in exchange for a Super Bowl.
Question, and, just to pose this thought, what's more important, impact or championships? You look at a guy like Allen Iverson, or you stood up on the table and blah, 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 blah. Everybody's not going to be Michael Jordan. Everybody's not going to be Patrick Mahomes. Everybody's not going to be these individuals who have the luxury of saying, hey, I not only dominated this sport, but I also have championships to back it. Like, let me remind you, Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. Respectfully, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. So, yes, when you look at those guys and you say, okay, what's more important? Would you have preferred to win a Super Bowl? I think that's the humble approach. But if we're being honest, the impact of you holding yourself accountable to say everybody has a responsibility to do. And you can say as an MVP award winner or an All-American, you've held yourself or you've held your end of the bargain down. And that's what it really comes down to for me. I know that's not the popular pick. I'm trying to be popularized. But my take is I'm taking individual success because I did my job. Football is not about one guy trying to do 11 jobs. Mm-hmm. It's 11 guys doing one job. And if everybody does their job best, famous words of our coach, Belichick, just do your job.
Just do it.
I think it's a good hypothetical. I think it's a good question. I think more people, if they were being 100% honest, would choose MVP over Super Bowl. But I think people will understand that that's not the healthy thing to say or the publicly desired thing to say. So they would say they want a Super Bowl over an MVP. I think, and Cam did and did not do a great job of explaining it there. I think the answer is I need way more context. Right? If you're saying, would you rather be an MVP level superstar like Cam Newton or Nick Foles? That's no offense to Nick Foles. Career backup, bounces around, doesn't get many starting opportunities. That's one thing. But if you're saying Cam Newton or another one-time Super Bowl winner, no-time MVP winner like Drew Brees, that's a whole different beast, right? Or Matt Stafford, that's a whole different beast. So would you rather have a Super Bowl or an MVP is like, well, which Super Bowl winner am I choosing to be and which MVP winner am I choosing to be? It's not cut and dry unless you say, listen, Cam, nothing about your career changes. You have the exact same stats, the exact same longevity, the exact same records. However, you're just not chosen to be the MVP in 2015, and instead you score one more point than the Broncos in that Super Bowl. I do think you go Super Bowl then. Because then the legacy, everything he said about Allen Iverson and the impact is still there, right? You still changed the way people play football by being a running quarterback and having the success that you had and clearing the way for guys in the future to do things. I don't want it to become people just absolutely roasting Cam because he's putting self over team. I get why you would, but I don't think that's how he was answering the question. If it were everything's the same and you choose MVP over Super Bowl, then I do think you can get on somebody for like, you're missing the point here. And I also think you can build more and more and more hypotheticals off of this if you're looking like me and my friends always are, to just get in sports debates that you can yell and scream about and then go, all right, cool, let's go grab some food. Things like, all right, cool. I'm assuming most of you out there, if I said, do you want an MVP or a Super Bowl, you're picking Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, Super Bowl.
I will say there should be some context on like you're the starting quarterback on a Super Bowl team. I don't think anyone's picking like, I've got a teammate, Geno Gradkowski, was a special teamer for the Ravens, won a Super Bowl. I don't think you're choosing Geno's career over Cam Newton's. But if we say all else the same, Super Bowl MVP, most of you are picking Super Bowl. And I get that, and I would too. My question becomes, how many MVPs would it take to get you to pass on the Super Bowl? More than anyone in NFL history? Was that five? Five, I think, is Peyton?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Would you take
5,
6 MVPs in exchange for no Super Bowls?
I don't know. I think the MVP has become such a quarterback award.
Ooh.
It's really what it has become.
What if I tell you you could win 6 as a wide receiver?
Jerry Rice couldn't even do that. He's
I know.
the best ever do it.
Imagine how good you'd have been.
But here's the thing. You can still hold up your end of the bargain and be the best, i.e. a Jerry Rice or whomever, and still win Super Bowls and be known for that. I think that's the thing, is that his words, hey, individual success, I held up my end of the bargain. It's like, yeah, well, so did I, but what do I have to show for it? I want a ring. There are 52 other guys on that team being like, yeah, cool, you got the MVP, great, happy for you. I want my hardware. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. It's like, hey, guess what? You have yours, but we all could have had a piece of hardware, and that's a ring on our finger.
It's that, and that comes back to the context thing. I think I would rather be an MVP than a carried to a championship like end of the bench player. But at the same time, if I could somehow contribute to a Super Bowl championship, that would be the most professionally fulfilling thing you could possibly have. So there's context there. I think what you have to do is program the question differently and said everything else is exactly the same. That's important.
Yeah, if everything else is exactly the same, then guess what? Cam Newton's impact is still his impact.
Exactly. And finishing second and getting snubbed is not like, oh man, now my impact is not there. It's if everything's the same, you take the Super Bowl. You have to.
And of course, a lot of people are pointing out like, oh, you did your part. Well, why didn't you jump on that fumble? Everyone's gonna point that out. Hey, it's right there. You didn't sacrifice your body to go for it. A lot of people point that out. And you know what? It's understandable.
But I'll also get and again, not to excuse Cam, but I do think a lot of people at the end of their career, you talk yourself into like no regrets, right? Like if he says Super Bowl over MVP there, that is a unfulfilled part of his career, right? Then he's looking back with regrets. He can't go back and change anything. So it's like, you know, what is true happiness? One of the like fortune cookie wisdoms. What is true happiness? Wanting what you have, right? Instead of wanting things you don't have, want what you have and you can be happy. If he's like, no, the coolest thing in the history of sports is being an NFL MVP and a Heisman Trophy winner, then he's like, look at that. My life is awesome. Like there is probably some individualness going on there. Like Peyton Manning isn't going to say the way you judge quarterbacks is by 40 time, because he's going to look around and be like, then I'm like 700th out of the quarterbacks.
Tom Brady's worst quarterback ever.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're Cam, you probably are saying like you have to take running into account to you know, it's you gotta see who's talking about it. Mm-hmm. And where we're sitting is a completely different vantage point than where he's sitting. And he also got a national championship, so at least he's got a trophy of some kind.
Yeah, a Heisman and a national championship. Awesome. Like that's phenomenal. And guess what? Everyone else on his team. And then here's the thing about football. We always hear about the ultimate team sport, but then you hear him say, hey, I did my part. Mm-hmm. Like that's tough for a lot of people to swallow, and we're always taught football, the ultimate team sport. All 11 guys got to work together. Hey, I did my part. Okay, well, did we win?
That's you doing your part. You need to pick your stuff. I mean, it does. The only reason I'm saying I don't want to come in bashing is I don't think he took the question the way many people are taking it. He's taking it as I would rather live and die on how good I played, and if I can do my job, and I want to be the one with the game on my shoulders, and I would rather have that and lose than go ahead and be play alongside Patrick Mahomes. And look at that, I'm a Super Bowl champion, but it wasn't because of me. It was because I happened to get drafted to the team of the good guy. I think that's how he was taking it. Or that's another way to think about it, I guess would be the way to say it.